Hello, everyone. Wait, Stella, why? All right. Can you guys hear my voice? If you can hear me, type yes. Okay, hello and warm welcome to all of you joining us today for this special webinar held in the conjunction with International Women's Day. So today's topic is ESG investing, retail investor as a change agent. And we are thrilled to have you all here with us. So this webinar is brought to you by Bursa Malaysia and managed by LifeChamp. And we are honored to have Joyline Chai as our esteemed speaker for today. So my name is Shaz and I will be your moderator for this session. And we have an exciting and informative presentation plan for you. So sit back, relax, and let's delve into the world of ESG investing. So before we dive into the presentations, I would like to read a brief disclaimer. The information presented in this webinar is for general information purpose only and does not constitute legal, financial, or investment advice. So the view and opinions expressed by the speaker are their own and do not necessarily reflect the view of Bursa Malaysia. So all participants are advised to seek independent advice and refer to the relevant law and regulations before relying on taking any action based on the information presented. So now let me introduce our esteemed speaker for today's session, Joyline Chai. Hi, Joyline.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi,
All right.
Shaz.
So
Yeah.
she is a highly accomplished individual in the field of sustainable investing and environmental initiative. So she is currently serving as the Vice President of the ESG Association of Malaysia for the term 2022 till 2025 and is a member of the CSO and SDG Alliance since 2019. So Joyline is also a columnist for the Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia Northern chapter, so where she focuses on green initiative. In addition, Joyline is an active member of the Penang Green Council's working group committees, where she specializes in green economy and governance and institutions. So, and has been serving in this capacity since 2018. And she was also a speaker at the SDG and Sustainability Framework in the Malaysia SDG Summit, hosted by the Ministry of Finance and UN Malaysia, Brunei, and Singapore in 2019. So Joyline's extensive experience and expertise in ESG and sustainability make her an ideal speaker for today's webinar. And we are thrilled to have her with us. So hi, Ms. Joyline. So without further ado, let's welcome Joyline Chai.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Shash, and thank you everyone to be here. So today this sharing is just like have you to know more about ESG investing. It is not as a how to say tools or investment advice. So today we just want to go through it. So I just want to know how many of you here have the knowledge about the ESG. Sorry, I will stop the slide first. So if you know about ESG, can you put 1 into the chat room so that I can see how many of you knowing? Okay, wow, it's quite a lot of people know about what is ESG. Okay, yeah, okay, good. So let me go through a little bit talking about what is ESG in the terms. Okay, so ESG actually stands for environmental, for the E, S is for the social, and G is for the governance, and is a criteria and also a framework for the company. They used to evaluate their sustainability. As we know, we always talk about sustainability, and there is so many things. We also talk about UNSDG, which later we will touch a little bit. So ESG is for the company, corporates especially, and now in public listed company, they use it to evaluate the value of their sustainability. So for this, the environment factors is actually stand quite important. As you know, we currently face the climate changes, challenges. So it examining this conservation of our natural world. So it's like more on what happened to our nature, our environment, and what we are using, whether it will be affecting our air, and also the places that we live, whether it's going to be getting hotter and hotter. This is things are being concerned. So when we talk about social factors, it looks like how people treats the people, which means that how the business treat their stakeholders. Very important, this wording, stakeholders. When we talk about stakeholders, it's not only people that is involved in the company, it's also outside the company, such as the people using your product, your customer, or even those who are affected by where your business run, how they run. So these are stakeholders. And of course, the most important thing is governance factors, which we consider how the company run the operation. Is it transparent? And is it according to whatever that is being stated out as a law? And also like what we talk about corporate governance. So I just want to give you a very brief example. So what is in the categories of ESG? So when you talk about environmental, what is the matter and issues that we are looking at? So carbon emissions, I believe this is like a big topic for everyone, not only in Malaysia, but it will be also like, I would say it's more like the whole world languages that we are talking about it now. Especially we talk about how the climate change, how everything that has changed the world. For example, like coal, where Malaysia are still using very much on coal to run our energy because it's the cheapest that we can use. The second one is that we talk about air and water pollutions. I believe that there were once in a period of time, we will always face an issue. And what is the issue? The issue is when you talk about the haze matter, okay? And also, sorry, my slide has some issue. Okay, and also we talk about the water pollutions that are happening, which is the drainage issue. We have all these matter that is affecting our life. And Malaysia faces the biggest problem now, deforestations. We are cutting a lot of trees. If you are a Malaysian who always travel in the highway, just quote an example like Ipoh. Last time when I travel, it's very green, very nice. The hill looks so nice. Now I look at it, it's so botak, right? So these are the few things that we need to look into it. And also we talk about green energy, we talk about waste management. And out of your expectation, actually food wastage is still the highest. And food wastage is actually is the hardest to control. So this is something we are facing as well. And of course, water usage. So these are the things that in the category of the E. Then when we talk about S, so S is so much. It's not about just only the perks that you give your employee, not that about the remunerations, the salary. We talk about whether your employee, you hire them, is it diversity, which means that you don't look at the ethnic group, you don't look at the gender, and when they are working with you, they feel safe. And also when you talk about customer, so when your customer purchase your products, their details will pass on to you, whether the data is secure or not. So as you know, there's so many big companies in the world we heard about, like WhatsApp, Facebook, their data leak, and this become like a panic issue. And I also believe that all of us had heard about the scam that happening to Malaysia as well. So this is also due to certain leak of it. But so these are all the things that people wants to know, whether I'm safe with you, I'm your stakeholders. So I pass on. So even I buy something like 2 ringgit, and then I use your website to make purchase. Is my data safe? And is it after I buy in from your website, will this data goes to other banks to come and ask me, oh, you want to borrow a loan or this kind of thing? So we have the Data Protection Act, but still, we need to do a lot of things to actually prevent it, because act and law is like policy that tell us what must be done. But how are we going to do it? That is the most important question. And of course, we talk about customer certifications, we talk about human rights, we also talk about whether you in the company, is there any harassment. So whenever we talk about sexual harassment, we always think about women will get it. Actually, men will also get sexual harassment as well. Then the next one, we talk about governance. So governance is quite something that is a very operational side. So it talk about whether your executive pay, your directors pay, either you have any internal corruption, is it your board of members is not being monetized by certain ethnic group or certain genders, these kind of things, then any political contribution within the whole governance of your company. So these are the things that are in this category. So if you can see, these three is form up the ESG criteria. Okay, so we are going to company are going through this to actually evaluate their sustainability. So how they evaluate themselves and how the rating will be, these are some of the categories you're looking at. Of course, there's a long list if you want to go to too technical, but I just bring out some so that you can understand. Okay, now, so since that we know what is ESG, now let's go into the ESG investing. So ESG investing has been a big name recent years, and especially in Malaysia, it comes in to hit the public in 2021. Then 2022, everybody just start, wow, what is ESG? What is ESG? And then finally now, Bursa announced in November 2022 announced that what is those proposed previously in May 2022 has come to enforcement, which means that publicly listed company, they are supposed to publish their reports. So why is it affecting us as retail investors? So you need to know a little bit, because ESG investing, they want the public to look into their business, and also they want to wish that their business can be a long-term preventions, and also they can have plans and also goals, strategy, okay, to measure their financial risk and opportunity, so that when they want to do certain decisions, okay, for their company, they can process it, they can also provide long-term value. So today, as investor, although even a retail investor or any investor, when they want to invest a company, okay, let's just put aside what we say about the terms. We also wish that we invest into a company that provide long-term value to us. Except for the financial reporting, what else we can see? What else are more transparent? Imagine if a company that always change worker, change people, then you think how it will be sustained for long term, because it will be very challenging for them as well. They need to train people and the time investment. So these are also part of the process in the social part. So if let's say compare a worker who work 10 years versus 10 months, of course, the person 10 years, they produce more value, and the company save in a lot of the time investment by training, putting in-depth training. So when the person work for 10 years, they have gradually trained themselves to become better. So it's not like 10 years you're training the same stage of people. So this is one of the example I can share to you. So that is the reason why investor wants to look into a long-term financial, and also when they want to invest. So I just show you an example, an idea. If you look at the last column on the conventional financial investing, last time we talked about fully commercial investment. It's only about dollar and cents. Then we don't think about environmental, we don't think about social, we don't even think about governance practices. That is how business started, right? Then how it goes in, if a lot of people say, oh no, I still care about the environment. But if you look back at the history of plastic, so plastic, when it started in the 1960s, wow, it's a boost. Every business loved it because it actually settled a lot of people problem. Let's fast forward for now. We are actually facing this plastic issue and all this, and it's affecting the environment. When it affecting environment, it affects the raw material, and it affect the raw material, it affect your business costing. So it still comes back to you. So when you think that it's not related to you, actually the whole cycle, it goes back to you. So when we talk about this, it will affect what? Your financial returns and income. So when you look at the column on the second one, when you talk about sustainable and responsible investing, okay, when you talk about this, we want to know what we can do to enhance for long term. So we use the ESG factors. Remember just now we share some of the criteria. So these factors, it's help you to analyze the risk. Then you understand and identify the growth opportunity. For example, because of this plastic matter that being widely talked about, and that's where I come from, Penang. They actually ban the plastic, and they also ban plastic straw. So this is one of the risks. People might say, oh, then how am I going to improve my customer certification? Because it will, because of the E criteria on the environment, it will affect the S. But actually, many people don't see it, yet small group of people see it as an opportunity, which they come up with the paper straw. And then now it already evolved into that the straw can be biodegradable. Then it will not harm the environment. So there is an opportunity there. So if you look in a full cycle term, in actually when you do more sustainable and responsible investment, it actually helps you to understand further your business, how it can be last longer. Then if you look into it, then you can focus on the long-term value that you're able to provide for the investor, which is all of you here. Because when you invest in a company, even you are just paying 1,000 to buy the share, you are still investing. You are still looking forward for capitalism, you're looking forward for earnings, okay? So whether it is in bonus or it is in dividends, you still wish that the company do well. So that is why it's actually affecting. Then you look at the social impact investing. When we talk about social, we have talked about environment. So we come back in the social. So we share a little bit just now where how talents can also affect the company performance. Be it you put somebody that is not suitable in that position, how would you think that the company will run? Isn't it? It's a question that we can think of. So putting the right person, giving the right remuneration, or the suitable, I would say, not to say right, is always also part of the metrics and the methodology when it comes to analyzing this. So as we ask ourselves, when we talk about ESG, it's also very quite related on ourselves when we talk about investment. You want to invest in a company that has happy environment. So let's ask ourselves, if we work in a company that is giving us a happy environment, will we stay longer? Will we want to grow together with the company? Yeah. So when we do investing, we will have to relate it back to ourselves. Are we comfortable with that? If we are not comfortable with what they are practicing, so do you think it will be lasting longer? You have to ask ourselves back. That is a very, very first step of things that we want to talk about investment. Okay. Now, so today our topic is saying that retail investors, that all of you here, will be the change agent. So how it would be. So you see, there is finding. I'm sharing the findings here. So the findings for first one, we talk about World Scan. Their latest public opinion, it's very good. They talk about retail investor worldwide, not only in Malaysia. When they want to invest, they will consider whether the criteria in ESG. So maybe you will say that, oh, I'm not very ESG person. I don't know ESG. But when you start to say, oh, whether this company, they treat their vendors good or not, they pay their supplier in times or not, whether their service is good or not, this is actually part of ESG already. It's like our life. And surprisingly, the number is growing. Is now in 2022, this number is in 2022. 39% of retail investor, they start considering. So for example, I give an example. I cannot name mention, but I say one of the delivery company, and we purchase from them. There's a time they shortage of what they call logistic people. They cannot find talent at all. They are too exhausted during the pandemic time. So whenever you purchase anything, they cannot reach in time. Let's say they talk about 7 days and maybe the products arrive 21 days. I have an experience. I purchased a table and the table never come until 2 months later. People will say, oh, you buy from Taobao or China. No. Actually, I purchased locally. So you see, this will affect, this will actually affect the customer satisfaction. And it is already part of S. So imagine if you are one of the person that invest in this company, then you will start thinking, why are so many complaints? Then will it affect the company, how to say, customer base? They will run, or they will temporarily not to go in, and then this will affect the financial. Yeah, so I'm giving you very, very layman example so you can look into it. So that's why people are now considering this thing very important when they want to invest a company. Whether this company, they will go into a merger with a bigger company, whether they can look into a bigger picture, is it worth for the investment? Okay. So let's come back to Asian markets. Now, these three countries, especially China, Thailand, and Vietnam, they're actually they're likely to have bought also the share because of company social environmental responsible approach. This one according to globe scans. But I also study a little bit on their how to say, their reports, and especially in China, they talk about very much on how their people is being treated. And you can see that those they work in their firm, they, especially in the public listed company, you can look at how they really work very hard for a betterment in their products, services. So what is the reason people stay? That is the thing that we need to look into it. So these Asian markets, actually Asia now, is actually quite looking into this kind of responsibility, especially when it comes to social and environmental, because it's affecting our life. And let's come back to a little bit to Malaysia. So from Standard Chartered, they actually do the what they call survey, and they have actually share that Malaysian retail investor, they have the potential, because retail investor may look small, but when there is a lot, when the numbers comes up, it actually affecting a lot. So if you can see, this is like an estimate, US dollar 35 billion. So when we talk about this, it is actually very much the younger generation, particularly. They are the upcoming investors. So when they put their money into it, they want this particular part of their money can help in the part of ESG priorities. And as we know that you also want to concern about it. So you want to put in your money that you don't want to face too much of risk. Okay, this is understandable. So we want to see, is the company that we are putting the money in, whether they are being transparent, whether they're taking care about our environment. Our environment is not only about the company, about us. Imagine if everybody just don't care, plastic is still go on, what will happen? If the global warming keep on going up, so what will happen to all of us? Now, and I can say proudly as Malaysian, we have the highest potential, one of the highest potential to growth in sustainable investing, because we are a lot of significant populations. We have a growth in our populations, and also we have a rising domestic wealth as well. So this is a truth, and across the whole Malaysia, we can see that so many percentage is actually coming to 40%, which means that it took up almost 40% of the market share towards when the investor, they want to put their money in. They think a lot about climate issue. Now, let me give another example. Everyone has aircon in your house, right? Yeah. If anyone don't have aircon, can you please put number 2 so that I can see that you don't have aircon in your room or in your house? Anyone? No. So means that everyone have aircons. So when you have aircons, if the aircons produce, when they produce the air to you, make you more, cooling, and then what happened is they cost more electricity bill. Will you feel that, I'm very unhappy? Got people sell them on. Wow, I saw someone say they don't have aircon. So if no own air condition is more ESG rating, no. It's not in this way. So if the air condition, let me finish first. If the air conditioning is actually costing you more electricity, which means that it costs more coil to run this electricity, because Malaysians electricity should still run by coil majority. But if compared to another brand of the aircon, that you actually have lesser, you will consume lesser electricity. So it means it consumes lesser coil to burn the electricity. So which one consumer will choose? First of all, come to dollar and cents. Of course, I choose the one with lesser electricity. This is very common thinking, am I right? So when the company, they keep on evolve in their products, okay, when it comes to evolve in their products, and it becomes more electricity efficient to the consumer, definitely more people buying that. Unless someone here tell me you're willing to buy an aircon that is more expensive when it comes to electricity comparison and what you need to pay for the expense, it is nearly impossible. I use the word nearly impossible. Why? Because there will be someone say, I like this brand so much, I'm a loyal person. Yeah. So all of us know that we will be buying things like that. So when you buy, you are actually contributing to their financial dollars and cents again. When you talk about dollar and cents, let's say if both of these company for the aircon, they are actually one of the public listed company as well, then whose share market will be more better? The one that more people buy or the one that less people buy? This question you can ask yourself. So the one have more consumers branding and also more effective, more efficient, and taking care more of the environment. See, then people are willing to invest in this company. You also want to invest in company because you can see their long-term plan. And probably in future, their long-term plan is they can actually cut down more CO2 compared to what they are producing now. So this small little change, it affects the whole ecosystem, and it affects how investors react. And also when it affects on this, it will actually affect on the share market if they are publicly listed company. Yeah. So that is the reason why when we talk about ESG investing, why you read about this, it is because if you do not look at it, then you may miss out the chance, because a lot of company, they have good idea and it can help to reduce what I'm saying now is more on climate action. They can help to reduce the climate, especially climate warming, the global warming thing. So these are the companies that are looking for long term. But if you don't see them, you miss out. Then you may miss the chance to be one of the pioneer to earning through this new era. And this new era actually help not only the company earning profit, it help us as an investor, okay, to earn passive income, pocket money, or can be any other terms that you call it. But what I'm trying to say is the business activities has to be a bigger picture that benefit the stakeholder in the criteria in E and S and G. Okay. Now, let's move on. So what I say just now, I give you some percentage that this is all from the BNP. You see, investor, they want to look into a company that can improve first long-term return. Again, come back to dollar and cents. We want to actually go to the company that able to help us to grow our wealth in a way. So this is 52% people are looking. Again, when you talk about improved long-term returns, which just now the ecosystem that I told you, that I shared to you, we want to see in this way, because it's going to affect every decision make change by the company. It will definitely affect business costing, and this will affect the paper. What paper? Financial reporting. Then of course we want to use the brand image and reputation. If there is one product have such bad image and reputation, I believe that they are in a crisis. In crisis of what? Making their image better, improving. So when people wants to buy, they want to buy with the brand that have good reputation, not necessarily luxury, but good reputation. Such as those brands, they are not they are animal free. They don't use the animal skin. Yeah. So this is also part of people looking. Of course, the third one you can see, we don't want to have too much of investment risk. And then also people looking on disclosure demands, which means that they want to see how they are going to disclose their information, and also some external stakeholder requirement. So, etc., etc. As you can see, attraction of new talent. So all of these is, if you separate out, they are already part of the E, S, and G. Yeah. So this one is for the asset manager. I put there. So sometimes we have to ask ourselves. So from here, all these choices, you must ask yourself. First one, the most important question. When you invest, when you incorporate ESG into your investment decision making, which one you choose first? Definitely a lot of people choose number one, improve long-term returns. And definitely this one is going to cover the whole ESG, because every decision every strategy makes, it will affect the dollars and cents, the paper again. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is some ESG financial ecosystem, just for your knowledge and some understanding. So if you can see, all issuers, they receive an ESG rating. So the company will receive this ESG rating. Then the financial intermediation chain, what will happen inside? So the firm will rate ESG rating. So they must have a rating provider. So the rating provider will rate it. Then we have indexes. We have assets manager. We have the institutional investor, which is the big entities. Then it comes to the end investor. So this one is the owner who actually bear the ultimate rewards and the risk. So let's say we talk about disclosure organizations. This one, they determine what information you need to disclose relevant to the ESG. For example, like the aircon, you can have more efficiency when it comes to the electricity. Then what is the material you are using? Will it help to actually reduce the environmental issue and the climate issue? We don't want you to produce an aircon that can reduce the usage of the energy, but your material actually increase the problem for the environmental. Or actually you force your worker to do something that is not ethical. Then it comes to the social part. Or you actually hide as a board of director, they hide from informations that they disclose. So these are all very important when we talk about the ESG. So let's not produce something that we still bring more damage. Yeah. So that is the reason why you need to understand how they give the rating, and this rating will help you to understand more the products they produce, the strategy, and the movement. So when we talk about rules and requirements, then whether this organization included those that they in the ACE market, whether they did self-monitor or not, they have internal audit or not, and they have external audit to actually take care of this part. Then the last one we talk about ethical standard. Ethical standard, I talk about United Nations, because United Nations, they have this what you call 10 principle from the UNGC, the Global Compact. They talk about company, whether they don't practice child labor, they don't practice bribery, so they are anti-bribery, there are no corruption, all this. So it will help to actually know that whether the governance sides as the board of directors, are they transparent? Okay, this is for your knowledge, how the financial ecosystem. Now, this one, ESG rating and indexes. Before we actually open this up, actually, I have those people, they are asking some question about this ESG rating as well. So let's go through very mildly, because today we want to just understand it. So the critical way is using this information. So just now we share all the information just now. Then how they get the rating. So this rating, they will convert into index, and then they will show you how the company fundamental transformation from, then they will tell you what is the product. Okay, so they do this ESG part, and then what is their rating, what is their indexes, so that it can show you how their products make a transformation. Then you can make a decision. Like, okay, go back to the aircon. So we know that A brand aircon, it can produce better electricity efficiency. Now, on this part, you also want to know whether the products, from start raw material until the end they produce this, whether they are having this ESG practice. So they will disclose, they will get the ratings, and you can see the transformation. Then you make the decision whether you want to invest. Of course, in the world, there are so wide range of rating practices, and we want to say that how the metrics works in this, they always focus on the materiality. Materiality means whatever you start from end, what you use, what you do, you compare back in the E and S and G criteria. Then you get the scoring. Okay, so of course, there are some system out there, they can help you to know this company, whether they perform within their industry, is their ESG rating good or not. There are some software like that. You can easily Google. So let's say, for example, in property field, we want to invest in certain property. Then we check in this company. Okay, so they will show you, oh, this is the average rating in this industry. Then you see where is their rating. Then it helps you to make certain decision as well. Okay, so rating helps you to further grow your investing, ESG investing, through funds. Okay, so funds, it can be mutual funds, can be other funds as well. And of course, now we're talking about stock. Okay, so a lot of people can do this data, like Bloomberg, Morningstar. These are people that are actually more focusing. So I'm showing you the pillar, how they use the resources. Like Bloomberg, they are very Bloomberg Financial, they are looking into a lot of things. As you can see, when they assess a company, they talk about carbon emissions, they talk about climate change effect, pollution, water disposal, even renewable energy, they also look into it. Okay, so if you look at these three different things, one thing is the same when it comes to environment. It's all talking about pollution, waste, and emission, three things. So these three things is very important because it is happening in our world. Then when you talk about rating for social, people are looking on what? They are looking on human rights, stakeholder opportunity. And they, of course, Bloomberg, again, they look into diversity as well. Then again, when you come to governance, you cannot run away is how your management react, how your board of director reacts. So if you see in Thomson, they talk about management. MSCI, they talk about corporate behavior. And then in the Bloomberg, they also talk about the board of directors, the shareholders' rights, the executive compensation. We don't want to overpay someone. Let's say, for example, they sit in the board, are they getting overpaid? And then they don't care about the financial status. Then as a retail investor, it will definitely affect you. Okay, so these are some of the criteria that will go into the major index providers, which help you to see the ratings. So just now what we share, it actually affect the rating. Of course, different rating methodology, they have different way, and also their level of transparency will be decide in what type of qualitative judgment they do. So it's like which type of this what you call rating you're using. So in Malaysia, we're using FTSE for good. Okay, so I just want you to understand that no matter which provider you go, they have different aspects, but the aspect still comes down to E, S, and G as the supporting elements. So let's go back here. You see, three different providers provide three different indexes, yet you can still see the similarity in there. So the rating will not run away too far because all of us know what we are looking at. It's just that some, they go into very details to tell you what is the indexes they look into it. Okay. Now, these are some of the framework which when in future, when you want to invest in a company, you will start seeing all these numbers. So at least you will know that, oh, this short form is actually part of the framework. Like, okay, number 2, I'm using a TCFD. Okay, this one is for climate change. This task force is open up for climate change that will affect the financial institution. So it is more on the E part. Okay, like the last one, if you can see GRI, a lot of people using, because GRI, they can help in more in social and also sometimes governance. And also, as you can see, SASB. So these are like, you can see downstairs, TCFD is a task force on climate related financial disclosure. So how they disclose their thing that is related to climate. So GRI is Global Reporting Initiative. Actually, these things, these frameworks helps this company to do their ESG guide. So when you are a retail investor, when you are investing, you want to know how the company work in E, S, and G. So these are some of the framework you can Google through. You no need to go into depth because you are not the one that are going to do the materiality, but you must know a little bit so that you know how the framework works, and then it will help you to have better judgment when it comes to investment decision making. Okay. So like I said, sometimes reporting metrics, they will actually have different stakeholders, but we wanted to call for more standardized reporting guideline. Although now Malaysia moving into this ESG, we are still very baby steps. but it is a good thing. Like Neil Armstrong say, one step from here is a big step from the human races. So one big step from our government policies and also this economic policies is a big step for us. So it would help us to look in a big way. So currently, many public listed, they are compiling their own ESG reporting guideline, because in the sustainability reporting guideline issued by Bursa since 2015. Actually, they have version 1, 2015, 2017, you have version 2, and then now 2023, you have the version 3. So all these you can download from the Bursa website. You can see that what is the criteria they needed to do. So the latest one is they need to start providing their ESG reporting not later by 2024, 31st of December. So you can start reading it and you will know how they are doing in the process and how this company are looking in future to actually help their business to be more efficient in costing, in treating people, treating environment, and of course, you as their stakeholders and shareholders. So for long-term value, it is all for long-term value. So sustainability reporting guide, you can take this now out, you go to Bursa website, you can download. They have 3 versions. You can read through all the versions because the version is certain part, they are still using, certain part they improved already. Yeah, for example, like I said just now, the requirement, that one is the latest, okay? Now, so what should you look into it? So just now, we talk so much already, we know about it already. So what type of thing? So these are some key points. They are not actual, I didn't go through it because we only have 1.5 hours. So I just share with you what is the environment indexes that you want to look into it. Okay, GHG means greenhouse gas emission. So does this product, they produce greenhouse gas? Because greenhouse gas will affect air quality. When you affect air quality, you will affect the ecological impacts. So these are all interrelated. Then we talk about water and wastewater. So around the world, we have water stress matter as well. Luckily, Malaysia don't have this matter, but some of our neighboring country have this matter. So when the company, they do certain business strategy, they need to look into it as well. Then we talk about leadership and governance, like whether the business ethics, is this business, they're doing ethical things? Okay, we want to know whether their management, when they do all the decision, they have the risk, systematical risk management there. Does they have the corporate governance to govern them? Whether they do the thing in a proper, transparent way, you know, because today when you invest, you are part of the shareholder, you are the stakeholders. You want to know that whatever you invest, is it they are a good one, not to say a good one, a better, giving you a long-term values, and also come back to the basic dollars and cents. Okay, then we want to know their business model. Okay, not only innovative, actually there's a lot of things to be considered. Whether the product able to have a better life cycle, whether the business model is resilient or not, then the supply chain, whether they manage properly or not, or they just take something that is not clean, then they just wash it up, but it's not clean, it's not healthy. This is also part of supply chain. We want to know who is their vendor, how they source their materials. Is it because me and you friends, so I use your product? So we want to know how they do it. And of course, when it comes to social capital, there's so much. Just now we shared just now, and the most important thing now is about customer welfare and also data security, customer privacy. None of us here, including myself, happy that if my phone number or my address being leaked out so easily. But this is part that we need to do improvement of it. Yeah. And when we talk about human capital, it's also about human talent. So whether this company, when they practice, they use child labor or not, one of the questions, or when they use foreign worker, did they treat the foreign worker fairly? or they retain their passport. We know a lot of issue about retaining the passport. Of course, we understand that sometimes we are afraid of the risk. The company may afraid of the risk that these foreign workers will run away. But let us ask ourselves, what can we do better in this? Then how is the company engagement in diversity and inclusion? Whether did you include these people is also Malaysian. We cannot just say that because of the color of the skin. We talk about the color of our IC. Is it all of us are using blue IC? If you are having red here, I'm also not against you. But as long as a Malaysian word there, the Malaysian word there, we are all in one. So is it inclusion? Does this company have this to retain the talent? So this is the thing that you would want to look into a company ESG reporting. And these will help you to determine your investment. Because none of us here would like to invest in a company that we cannot provide transparency or even determine how the supply chain work. Especially in food and beverage, because these things are putting into our mouth and then into our stomach, it affects our health. And then we talk about health, whether the medication have any side effects that is irreversible. So these are all the things that we want to know. And how we want to know, so we look into the reporting. Okay. Now, these are some climate-related risks and opportunity and for the financial impact. So let's say you put on the risk. Let's look at the risk side. So risk side is we always have new policy changing for legal, and this is for the improvement and betterment. It's also for the beneficial of us. Then what is the technology they are using? And also most important, what is the market reputation? Some businesses, they may have a bad reputation in the past, but how they transit themselves, it can be an opportunity as well. Don't get me wrong. Something bad in the past doesn't mean that it will be bad forever. As long as they have a strategy, they can make it better. Okay. Then we talk about opportunity, how they take care of their resources, how efficient is it. Then you want to know whether the energy source, such as, for example, we want to know that whether they are using green energy. This is also parameter. This is opportunities. Nowadays, you see EV cars. I still remember 20 years ago, we talk about EV cars and all these things, Tesla talking about all these things. Nobody thinks that one day, right now, 2023, we are actually having the EV car. Last time when we look at it like 20, 30 years ago, things are just like imagination, but it's happening now, and it happens for a good reason. It happens to help the climate. It happens to help us to see more opportunities. The world is getting smaller, but bigger in opportunity. But the thing is whether we grab it or not. So all these risks and opportunity will help in the company strategy planning. And the strategy planning is the most important thing, because we want to know the risk they are having, the opportunity they are having, then whether they are actually include all this. So their strategy will be impacting their financial. Then what type of financial impact? We talk about their cash flow statement, their balance sheet, their revenues, their assets and liabilities. And also we want to know that as an investor, when we invest into it, what is their forecast and how their forecast can be done. So their forecast is not just the numbers that they put in on the paper. They have related with their strategy through ESG. So ESG reporting show you a bigger picture and also more transparency. More transparent, not totally more transparent. We will improve. I believe like 20, 30 years ago, we have all these concerns. Now today, we have some solutions. So these will help all the investors. How can they put in their money? So included us, how are we going to put in the money? So whether their strategy works in the way that we can see, not just forecast projected this number. We have the strategy to forecast. So if a company tell you, okay, I will grow next year or next 5 years, 20%, gradually. Even another pandemic hit, we surely can. Okay, now, when they say this, they have the numbers, looks very nice. So how do they determine the numbers? So they have this strategy planning, they have this ESG material assessment. They show you, okay, look, this is what we have, what we are doing now. It's not just merely a testimonial. Everyone can write a testimonial. But when you put it into action, then this is the part that you see the results. It's not merely just a paper writing out numbers, but also fact and their process supporting the number. So after you know this ESG thing, you understand the ratings, you understand what is the impact, then you can make better decisions whether you want to invest in this company. Because pandemic is also one part that we learn so much, that some companies are vulnerable. I feel proud and happy for those who stand through the pandemic, because it's not easy. But we need to have more strategy to prevent the next one coming. And then this is one of the way, one of the methodology, okay? ESG, investment approach. So these are some approach that from the BlackRock Investment Institute. BlackRock, why I use them? Because they are very big, and they in the world, they are doing the property management, property, not only management, property, merger, acquisition, everything. So we used to see what is their objective, their key consideration, and their examples. So I want to focus on the second column, ESG rebalancing. So their objective is to invest based on ESG score and rating system, which means when they invest, they want to know what is the ESG scores and system. So what is their consideration? When they want to invest themselves, they also want to see what is the data source, where is the ESG data source come from. Only they want to know whether there is a risk they want to take or not. From here, they can improve and optimize. Optimize means improve the ESG benchmark, so that when they do strategies for their investment in properties, they can do a better decision making, long-term return, long-term value, and also better return for the investor. So this is where I come from, that I want to share just now what we have spoken. And also, if you look at the last column, impact, you see the target specific non-financial outcome along with the financial returns, which means that they want to know that whatever they do, okay, when you talk about dollar and cents, it's about the costing, but environmental is a non-financial outcome. You cannot use dollar and cents to calculate, oh, this emission comes out so much, impacts so much, how much it impacts my business. Not yet, you cannot. But these are affecting the company to get more raw material. So they target, oh, if this company, the non-financial outcomes, along with the financial returns, help to impact the stakeholders, then yes. How we measure? Again, they go back to the ESG strategies approach by the company. Then they look at the reports on the progress of the impact outcomes, because you don't practice now and then you expect the result directly. We have to see year by year improve. And then they have specific green bond mandates. So these are the things to help you understand the bigger picture, where those really big companies, they also looking into this. You see, it's a whole ecosystem. Okay. So yes, just now we also shared that when we talk about sustainability, it's very much about, it's starting from the Sustainable Development Goals, very much approach from the UN. So SDG investing is also the gaining in this in attention. Why? Because we want to be socially responsible, and investor, they're not looking only social responsible. They also want to ensure it is a long-term sustainable investment in the whole world, not only just one. So if you look into ESG, it's also quite related to SDG. There are two different things. There are still differences, but you can see within the differences, they have the similarity. So when we talk about environment, you look at the goal 13, 14, 15, which is protect the planet, life below water, life on lands. Okay. Then if you talk about pollution, it will go water pollutions, and also we talk about energy pollution. Then it comes to number 6, clean water and sanitation, and we have 7, clear energy. Then when we talk about social, you see, whether they have decent jobs and economic growth on the number 8, whether they reduce inequalities, number 10, which means that doesn't mean that you're not different color of skin, then you have different pay. No, we don't do that. We don't practice that. We as one Malaysia. Okay, so we talk about gender equality as well. Did women get the same pay or same treatment as a man? This is what all included in the ESG when we talk about. Then we talk about G, governance. So whether it's a peace and justice on the 16, whether we do partnership for goals. When we talk about partnership, it's not because I partner with you and you partner with me, then we hit the goal. No, we talk about when we partner with the person, whether we can help to save costing. When I talk about costing, it's about you will not exhaust the natural resources. How you can do it together. That's why you see a lot of crossover, different brands, why they are working together. So they also want to seek for long-term goal that can help in their sustainability improvement, which also align for ESG. And investors are looking in this ESG. Okay. So this is from some funds manager. They gave some sharing on the hedge fund. This is just for your information. So if you look at it, equity, long and short term, is still most people looking at it. It's like stock markets. So these are the things. Okay. Now, I want to touch a little bit, since that this month is the Women Day, International Women Day month. Like I want to share a bit how gender fit in ESG. Now, as you know, public companies, they are facing a lot of pressure from investors to improve diversity, which means that more women into their director rank. Also, if they have not scored well in their ESG. So they also want to know that whether gender diversity and equity being taken care well, because this will be also respond in the ESG risk and opportunity. Then of course, you talk about external pressure, is whether those institutional investor, big one, the activist shareholders, whether these people, they want to increase the representations for the women on the corporate boards, especially in the C-suites. Okay, so across the whole executive leadership, whether they have the equal compensation and mobility for the women. So women, people of colors, these are all very important. Okay, now this actually, it can affect how the company address themselves, and this address will always there, because we always have gender, we always have different colors of people. This is always there, but how as a company they can move better? When they do better on this, they can improve their scoring, and also they can let the talent stay with them longer. So I share a little bit from S&P Global Market Intelligence. They have some study, a very interesting study. They say when women lead, firms win. This is their what they call their tagline. So they done some research, and they find it that when the CFO is held by a female, the company tends to be more profitable and produce better stock price performance compared to the market average. So those who married men, now you know why your lovely wife is a better CFO. So this is just a good joke. If you're laughing behind the monitor, it's okay. I also wish to can see your face. So this research also show that firms with higher gender diversity in their board of director, they can be more profitable, and also they can make the firm better and also produce better stock price performance. Okay, of course, if you can see S&P Globals, they have this change pay initiative. They want to know how important gender equality is and how it actually very important to include in our economics. So they want to showcase what is the financial advantages in gender diverse company, so that they can compare with others that is still on the way of moving to gender equality. So actually gender diversity play very important role, very important. Sometimes you struggle to make the strides, but sometimes women actually can settle certain problem. Not because I'm a woman, but I'm just telling the truth that what we share from this S&P Global Market. So now the issue is we want to gain the momentum, but of course, in the end of the day, we still need to take time to close the gap. So you can listen some of the podcasts in S&P Global, very good. They talk about women and also gender gaps that actually help in company performance. So it helps investor to how to say, making better decision when it comes to investing. So now I'll come back to you. All of you here, your investment actually make an impact. Because nowadays, climate concern, we cannot stop it. This is the truth. It is something that we need to look into it. So you see how meaningful you are if you invest in green bonds, you invest in company practicing ESG, because you know that they will continue, and you investing in them actually making impact, making assurance, not to say assurance, affirmation, yes, the correct word, affirmation that they are doing the right track. They just have to go on and have better strategy and move on. Of course, I want to quote Vena Mehta. She is the founder of BYSE. It's a green asset investing apps. They focus on retail investor. So he says that people should look at the big picture and invest in assets beyond making profits, which means that you want to make profits. That is for sure. But beyond making profit, what you can do for the betterment of the environmental, of the people, social, and also the governance. So a good investment, it look into three bottom line: people, profit, and planet. That's why I've been sharing just now, like why in the end of the day, what the decision making, yes, it's a business costing, but when it comes back to dollar and cents, it's always impact people around us. So every decision by a big corporations, it will actually impact a lot. So when we talk about layoff, Amazon announced yesterday, they're going to lay off again. So this will definitely affect the people. When they affect the people, then definitely they will start to affect the planet, because people need more resources to survive. And then, does it help the profit? Yes, but just temporary. What is the next step? You lay off people already. Yeah, you cut the costing already. Then what's the next step? What are you going to do in the strategy to ensure that if, as a retail investor, I invest in you, I can go longer? Because the moment you announce layoff, that is something bad already. It's going to affect my investment. So what's next? We always want to know what's next. Then, of course, when all the small retail investors come together, when you invest in ESG funding, any green bonds, any investing instrument, you are becoming big enough to impact this planet, this Mother Earth, and also, of course, the environmental positively. Yeah. Now, we also have to understand, when you making an impact to the investment, you actually help to provide two benefits. The first one is you earn the interest. Second, you contribute to social responsibility. So when you do a decision investment through the ESG concept, then you know at least you earn the money first thing. Second, you are doing something good. Okay. So there are a lot of ESG investment fund out there which you can purchase, but with your purchase, you actually could indirectly influence the company to actually act more preservatively towards our environment, and also, of course, other positive impact we shared just now through your actions. Yeah. So your ESG investment is making an impact. Now, before I end, I would like to quote, sustainability and growth must be coexist. It's not just about money. It's about what is going to be on the next generation. What if you earn all the money and then the next generation have nothing? Then it is not sustainable. What if you have all the resources and the next generation will not have it? Then business will not be long term because all the resources have been used now. So look at the nature. Things only sustain themselves when they grow continuously. So again, growth is the prerequisite for sustainability. Now I wish all of you, let's invest and impact together. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so
pass.
much. All
Yeah,
right, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Joyline, for the invaluable explanation and also knowledge sharing session. So I would like to thank you all for joining us today for our webinar on is it ESG investing. So we hope that you found the information and insight shared by our speaker to be valuable and informative. As we come to the end of our session, so I would like to open the floor for any question that you may have. What you need to do is that you need to type your questions in full sentence on Q&A box. So I will read in the meantime. What are the challenges when implementing ESG?
This is a very good question. What is the challenges? So actually the first challenges will be currently in Malaysia market, we are still quite baby steps, I say. So when you want to acquire a new knowledge, it will need more learning process and trial and error. So these are the costing that may need to be incurred. And also second is the behavior. You must understand now most of the people, when they invest, they actually talking about dollars and cents. But what is the long term? When we want them to look into a big picture, it is also one of the challenging because you are changing the behavior. So this is some of the informations that you may need to look into when it comes to the challenge. Yeah.
All right, for the second questions. So when the company implementing ESG, is the company incurring more costs, which will making their business less profitable?
I get this question very often. So they will say, oh, I have to invest so much to do this. Now, let's look into, before I answering this question, let's look into inventing car. Cars nowadays, cars are one of the things that we always use. When the first automobile happens in the mid of the 18,000s, we understand that it is very much a lot of money has been invested. So it's very expensive to own an automobile. That time they don't even call a car, called automobile. And it don't even cover you. They just have a motor behind, and then you just step on it and you move on. But along the way, because of the first initial investment, which is considered huge. And along the way, it improved and it evolved. And now cars are no longer selling at a high price. Okay, there are still 1 million plus cars, but when we talk about necessity, the cars you can purchase in a lower pricing compared to those initial when you are investing. So it's the same. When you do ESG, you comply ESG for the company. At first, yes, there is an initial investment. But for long term, you know the strategy. After you collecting your data, you understand more better of yourself, then you can do a better strategy making. And you also can help to understand what is the long-term sustainability plan that able to provide financial return, long-term value financial return. So yes and no. Yes is because initially, of course, everything when you started, it has some investment, but for long term, it's a very good it's a good cost efficiency. Yeah.
All right, for the third question, how ESG investing can create a long-term value for investor?
I think I did answer just now a little bit. Okay, but let's look into the criteria again. So the one that I would actually put in the question is number one is environmental. I want to talk about this is because natural, our nature, Mother Nature is very important. I always believe in that. So let's say if Mother Nature is no longer there, what are we going to do? Your dollar and cents you cannot bring to anywhere. So the question come back when you practice something that you can help to preserve the natural resources for further research and development. Everything we have here is research and development. Let's talk about Zone. How many research and development has been done to actually get this app to become more and more better? Then they receive feedback from the user, then they make it more better. So from all this, we wanted to know that whether in long term, is it more cost benefit? Yes, definitely. And from the initial first time I purchased Zoom until now, it's already slightly increased. But does it provide value? Yes, it does. So end of the day, whether you're practicing it, that is the matter of the human matter in the corporate. Many companies in the West, if you can see that they practice, you can study as well. Like just now I use BlackRock's. Why? Because they're practicing it, they show you with the numbers. And in long term, whether it's cost effective, yes. Because they know that they are not going to invest the money into something that is going to just fall off. Okay, yeah, thank you.
All right, next question from Peter Locke. So can you explain those rebate pertaining to reduction of carbon emulsion?
Hi Peter, thank you for the questions. But so for the rebate pertaining for the reduction of of the carbon emission, so far that one is a taxation matter. I think it is better that we have this conversation with the tax matter, because for now Malaysia have not implement the carbon tax yet. Yeah, but Bursa Malaysia has opened up a voluntary carbon market, which is help all the company to actually get used with it and understand how is the carbon emissions and all this thing. So when it goes into further, of course, this one I suggest you to get a tax agents or to answer that. Yeah, thank you.
All right, next question. How does a company prioritize ESG issue when they conflict with other business priority?
Okay, this thing, You know, if I would like to answer, I would like to give you an example. How many of you stop at the yellow light when the traffic turns yellow? How many? When you're rushing, you're hoping that, oh, don't turn red, I go first. So yeah, of course, at now, I would say because we are taking baby steps, that's why a lot of people still think that dollars and cents is more important. I do admit that. So when you want to make changes, you don't have to do the directly full changes right now. You take the steps. If let's say the company, for example, they have until 2024. So they take baby step, they go for training first, then they understand, oh, certain things they can change first, then they do. For example, maybe last time training, they use all what they call printed material, like they have to print out physically. So they move on to turn it into e-version, which is electronical version. Then this is also part of one of the ESG that you can help in the greenhouse gas emission. Not much, not a very big contribution, but at least you start from somewhere. Then it will not affect your what you call business costing. What is business priority? Profit. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Is there will be the last question. So is there any law enacted or governing the ESG, such as company may claim they are ESG not fully compliant, but a check revealed that they are
not fully compliant?
not fully compliant. Yeah.
Okay.
They claim they are
yes
compliance, but when they check, reveal that they are not fully
yes,
compliant.
this is greenwashing. This is what happened in the US. Okay, let me share a little bit. What happened in the US is a lot of company, when they start to have ESG, they say, oh, I do this, but end up when the laws enforced in the US, because at first they don't enforce anything yet, until they enforce, then they realize, oh, these people, they overclaim themselves. Okay, now in Malaysia, let's come back to Malaysia, because US, they are far away. 20 years ago, they are already practicing. Okay, now come back to Malaysia, we are baby step. So what happened now in Bursa is we have the standards, which is just now I shared, FTSE for goods. So this one will help you to understand the scoring. So these people that are doing scoring, but unfortunately at this stage, we don't have any verifications or assurance, not to say assurance, verification. Unlike audit report, okay, when the auditor said true and fair view, yes, it is a law compliance. Then we go and check whether it's true or fair view. Then we take the auditor into account if there is anything wrong, of course, including the board of directors. But unfortunately for now, Malaysia, they still don't have yet. So Bursa Malaysia started that they need to provide the reports. So you can start first, you can start reading the report, I think by next year. Or I'm not sure this year anybody will submit so fast, but next year you can start having a look at it. And then, yeah, from there on, Bursa Malaysia will start improving. Oh, then we realize these people, whether they follow or not, and then when they follow, what is the challenges, what can we improve on that. So for those not fully compliant, yeah, you may run away from one time, but when the whole system come in telling you we have this standard and all this thing, and to do due diligence check on you, that is where you have to answer. So for now, unfortunately, Malaysia, we're still in a baby step, but I am very confident we are moving on the path. For now, we are still at the stage that I would say trial and error. Yeah. So let's wait for next year. You can read the report. If anyone submit by this year, that will be more better. Yeah, because it just started. It just announced that in November 2022. Like now it's like 4 months down the road. So I believe that a lot of publicly listed companies, they are also wanting to comply. Yeah. Thank you. I hope I answered the question. Yeah.
All right, so thank you so much, Ms. Joyline. So I would like to express